My hair is a mess. It is growing in different directions, and you're gonna have to deal with it. What's up, Rebels? My name is Leo, and I am one half of Leo and Willie. If you're new here, we talk a lot about queer stuff and trans stuff and all the fun stuff. And if you're not new here, then you already knew that already. Hey, welcome back. Didn't notice, Willie is not here. However, I do have my own co-star today. Don't worry about it. Don't pay attention, please. She's shy. So this playlist is one that I started making when I kind of first started to go on my sort of gender journey. And it just started out as just like I wanted to make a playlist of songs that felt affirming to me. I make a lot of playlists. I have a bit of a problem when it comes to playlists because I have so many. Like, literally, you guys, I've so many playlists. It's ridiculous. Too many playlists. Too many. I made it because I just started to vibe with songs in a particular way. I was like, wait, this kind of, like, relates to how I'm feeling in my gender identity, or just sort of, like, it feels a bit affirming, or it feels like relatable, or whatever the case may be, that somehow it just kind of airplane. We live near an airport. It's just kind of a playlist where I just put a bunch of songs in that, like, when I would listen to them, they feel affirming. They either like resonate with me and like my gender, or they are about being trans, or they're just fun songs that feel fun for me and my little weird boy self. So without further ado, I'm gonna get into it. I've tried to categorize some of these songs. I'm not gonna go through the whole playlist because I'll be honest with you guys, it's like 16 hours.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So I'm not gonna go through all that with you guys. Don't worry. I'm just gonna skim through a couple of the songs, some of the highlights, and I'm hoping that some of you guys might know some of these songs, or if you don't know these songs, please go check them out, because there's some really great ones in here. And I'm not being biased. I am completely unbiased in my opinion. My music is great. I made some categories. We are gonna just go through them step by step. The first category is songs about being trans, or songs specifically by LGBTQ plus artists, queer stuff. Category number 2, rock and roll. If you don't know me, I am a big rock and roll person. I like rock music and stuff, and so a lot of the songs that are on this playlist fall into that category, but I tried to pick out a few that are more like topical for this video. A lot of times I'm like, oh wait, no, grungy sounds and scratchy voice. Yes, gender. Yes, add that to gender playlist. Gender, yes. The third category is pop punk, and if you're about to fight me and be like, oh, those two categories are really similar, get out. No, I'm just kidding, you can stay. But no, they are different. Pop punk is very different, and I will explain a bit more as to why those two categories are also very different for me in relation to my gender. And the fourth category is gender non-conformity. So songs that kind of relate to gender fluidity or gender non-conformity and sort of like F gender roles and that kind of stuff. And then the last category, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, just vibes. Just vibes. Sometimes there are songs in here that are just vibes, and I can't explain them. They're just gender vibes. So, yay! I can already feel the conservatives and the like weirdos that are gonna be commenting, be like, oh my god, you make everything about being trans, you're literally just talking about songs, there's nothing to be talking about being trans in relation to these songs. Shush. I don't care. This is my video. This is my channel. You can go away. Thank you. Category number 1. We're gonna kick things off strong with a song titled Them by Flavia, I'm really sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Flavia. Obviously, just by the album artwork, as you can see, it's very queer, very, like, gender, trans. There's literally, like, the trans colors in the album artwork. It's super fun. And the song is all about, it's basically from the perspective of the partner of a trans person, who's, like, non-binary or some form of like gender non-conformity uses they them pronouns, that sort of thing. It's not necessarily like specifically said like this is a non-binary person that I'm singing about, but you can kind of get the gist from the song. Talking about like sort of loving a trans person and the non-conforming ways that their body exists, and sort of giving appreciation to transness in that way, and sort of like just sort of it's sort of a bit of a love song to trans identity in some way, I guess you could say, which I heard it and I was just like blown away by it the first time I heard it. I was like, whoa, this is really cool. Someone's singing about loving a trans person, like, oh my gosh, like talking about how your partner uses they them pronouns and stuff, and it's like people don't know what they are, but you know, and that's what matters. It's a really cool song, and I think a lot of trans people might really enjoy it because it's just like it feels good. It feels good to have a song that's just like, hey, you asked me who I'm with them, babe. Like, I'm hanging out with them. They're hot and I love them, and it doesn't matter what their body is or what they used to be or whatever. They're who they are, and I love them. So it's a really, really good song, and if you haven't, go check it out. The next song is one that I found on TikTok. Yes, I do sound like Gen Z when I say that. Too bad. So the next song is by an artist called Rats, R-A-T-Z, who, again, I found through TikTok. They started, like, posting their songs on TikTok, and that's how I personally found them. Again, another trans artist, who is just super cool. I think they've got a really cool voice. They've kind of got this, like, raspiness to their voice, which is really fun. And the song that I'm going to talk about here is called I'm the Man. And it's a song that I saw on TikTok, and I had been waiting for ages for it to actually, like, come out on Spotify. Because I love it so much, and it just gives me so much gender euphoria when I listen to it. It's just like, oh, yes. It's just very beautiful in the way that it talks about being able to encompass masculinity as someone who isn't AMAB. And then the last song that I'm going to talk about in this category is a song by Kat Cunning, called Boys, and it's a song that, again, is written for trans masculine people by a trans masculine person, which is really fun. Kitty! I think it's just it's a really powerful song, and when it first came out, I was just, like, in awe of everything about it. There's a music video that goes along with it, which features a lot of beautiful trans masculine people of all different shapes and sizes and colors, and it's fun. Category number 2, rock and roll. So, as I said, I am a big rock and roll fan. I like a lot of rock, punk, alternative, all that kind of stuff. Number 1, I have Jerry Cantrell's Angel Eyes. If you don't know, I am from Seattle, so I resonate a lot with sort of like the grunge scene from the Seattle grunge eras and some of the artists that came out of that, and a lot of the sounds that came out of that era of music. And Jerry Cantrell, if you don't know him, he used to be in a band called Alice in Chains, who was a Seattle grunge band. And I really, really love them. There is quite a bit of Alice in Chains on this playlist, just because it rocks, and Lane Stanley's voice is amazing. His vocals, I don't know how to explain it, but his vocals are quite, like, gritty and rough, but then the chorus is really beautiful, and he does a really great melody in it. For the rest of this category, I'm just going to tell you guys the titles because I feel like there's no sense in me trying to explain them. So in rock and roll, we've also got Enter Sandman by Metallica, Creep by Radiohead, I Don't Know Anything by Mad Season, which, fun fact, Mad Season was started by some other Seattle grunge artists who had been in previous bands. So the lead singer is the guy who was the lead singer in Alice in Chains. Just a little fun fact for anyone who's into, like, grunge music. I am very much into it, so please, if you know these kind of bands, comment below. Also in this category, I put in Three Doors Down, Kryptonite, which is a bit of a throwback, and I don't know if it's cringe. Is this a cringe song? I feel like it kind of can get put into the same category as, like, Nickelback, which I may have Nickelback on this playlist as well. Don't come for me. This was one that I had on my iPod back in the day when I was a kid, and even then, like, it was sort of one of those things where looking back, I'm like, oh, this was gender envy. But at the time I didn't know, and I was just like, I really like this song, and I like singing this song, and it's got this weird low vocal that I really like, and it's like, ooh, so fun and gritty to sing. But really, it was like I was living out my guy fantasy. Category 3, pop punk. So, like I said, rock and roll and pop punk, 2 different categories. The reason for that, very different vibes. For anyone who maybe isn't in the realm of like alternative music and stuff, I'm not trying to be all I'm not trying to over explain this in a way that's gonna come across in any sort of like patronizing way, so apologies. But if you don't know, pop punk just has a very different sound than a lot of like rock and roll or grunge and stuff. It's just all categories of rock music. So pop punk typically is categorized by having some sort of like angsty vibes to it, but also sort of like, you think of pop punk and it's like small town teen angst. That's basically the best way to put it. Small town teen angst. And I really vibe with pop punk, and a lot of trans guys do as well. Comment below if you're a pop punk fan and you're also a trans guy, because I have a theory and I would like to get some data on that. Help me out. Kicking it off strong with Real Friends, a band from Illinois who's like, again, like just a very, very stereotypically pop punk band. They sing a lot about being sad boys and not knowing where to go and being stuck in a small town and all that kind of stuff. So again, kind of like nostalgia vibes, kind of like teen angst vibes of just like, oh, what am I doing? What is life? So there's a song called Lost Boy, on their album Put Yourself Back Together, and I really love this album as a whole. I got the album for free when I was a kid, when I went to Warped Tour one year, and it became my soundtrack for like a whole summer. I kept it in my car and listened to it every single day on repeat, and I think that's part of why it resonates with me, is because it just kind of was there at a time when I didn't really understand things, but it resonated with me then, and then now it resonates with me in more knowing ways of like, oh, this actually relates to sort of this teenhood that I didn't go through but still felt at the time, and it still resonated with me. So I still listen to that kind of stuff, and it's a bit of a nice nostalgia throwback for me. Disclaimer: if I categorize someone as pop punk and they are not technically pop punk, do not come for me. I tried my best to categorize these, but sometimes there's overlap, so be nice. That being said, the next one is a song from the band called All Time Low. They're sort of more on the like pop end of pop punk. This song is called Something's Gotta Give, and it's just sort of a song that just gets me in my feels a bit. It's just sort of a like release type of song of like, enough is enough and I'm dying to live. Just something has to give here. Something has to give. Like, sort of, if I relate this to my trans experience, it's sort of like that frustration of, whether it's sort of the frustration of where you're at in your transition versus where you want to be, if it's something needs to give in the realm of like, people need to see me for who I am, if it's something needs to give in the realm of this gender dysphoria is too much and this needs to go, like I need to just have release from this. That's kind of what this song resonates with me for, is sort of those feelings. And it's also just a bit of a badass song. It's kind of a fun one to rock out to. Another neck deep song. It's my playlist. I can do what I want. Walking Contradiction by Green Day. Which I think part of the reason why I put this on my playlist was for the title alone, because, I mean, what better way to define a transgender non-conforming masculine non-binary person than a walking contradiction? You know what? I am a walking contradiction and I don't care. And that's just who I am. And it's sort of owning it and being like, you know what? I'm not perfect. I have this and I'm whatever. And these things don't make sense together, but they're still here and they still exist. And I encompass all of it. So, hey, it's me, Leo, the walking contradiction. And you can be upset about it all you want. Category 4, gender non-conformity. I'm not going to go into each of the songs individually. I'm just going to give you guys the titles and just the general topic. So, Just to list out the songs, we've got King by Florence and the Machine, The Man by The Killers, Rebel Rebel by David Bowie, Bad Reputation by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, and Heroes, again by David Bowie. This category, the reason why it's called gender non-conformity is because all of these songs sort of resonate for me in those ways of kind of like F gender roles, or, you know, playing around with like being sort of gender fluid, or just kind of like going outside of the binary. There was a lot of that I saw when I was growing up within rock music, within alternative music, that really resonated with me as I got older and as I started to understand my gender identity. So Bowie, Joan Jett, two iconic members of rock history who very much challenged gender roles and gender stereotypes and what it meant to be this one particular type of person. Joan was someone who very much was like, you know, very anti put me into this like woman rocker box, because she recognized the ways that the industry was very much not recognizing alternative women, and it was a very male dominated world, and she busted through that door and was like, screw you. And Bad Reputation is a song that very much encompasses that energy that she had in her fame, and she still has today. She still kicks it and has that same energy. So, and then Bowie, Bowie is iconically known for being very fluidly creative visually with gender expression, and in songs as well. There's a lot of like sort of fun things to do with gender and all that. So like Rebel Rebel is a song that when I first heard it when I was a kid, I was like, I don't know if they're singing about a boy or a girl or what they're singing about, but I'm here for it. And yeah, it's just a song that still today just makes me feel very like, I feel very seen when I listen to that song. I just feel like me and Bowie are just kind of like on the same wavelength right there in that song. So final category is vibes. The first one is Before the Lobotomy by Green Day. Hi, Midnight. Okay. Before the Lobotomy, it's a song where he's kind of talking about how, like, you know, maybe there was like some things that back in the days we didn't like have issues with, or things were a lot different back then, and you know, we're kind of creating a world where like things are sort of flipped. And I feel like maybe you guys could understand how that could resonate with a trans person and sort of the trans experience of kind of flipping things on their head and looking at things from a different perspective, or saying like things could be different. I'm just gonna rapid fire through the last three. We've got Head Over Heels by Tears for Fears, Don't Bully Me on This One, How You Remind Me by Nickelback, Don't Fight Me, and the last one, Friends in Low Places by Brooks Jefferson. Yeah, did you think there would be a country song on that playlist? Probably not, but here it is. It's a fun one. I've got more on this playlist, and I'm gonna put down a link where you guys can actually listen to it if you want to. It's gonna be down in the description. I keep adding to it all the time, so it will likely continue to grow. So feel free to save it, and you can continue to listen to it along with me. And also, please sound out in the comments if you have any of these songs in your libraries, if there's songs that resonate with you. If you have other songs that you think, oh yeah, these definitely resonate with my gender journey, please tell me. I'm so curious if this is something that other people do or if it's just me. I'm hoping that I'm not alone in this. So if you have a gender playlist, or if you have songs that relate to your identity, please comment so that I don't feel alone. Thank you. That's my gender playlist. It's really fun. Like I said, it's got a lot of like random bits in. It's a bit of a jumble of a lot of things, but I hope I did an okay job of explaining where some of that comes from and how it works for me. Tell me your favorite songs that you would put in your gender playlist. Please, let's find out. Let's make a like Leo and Willie Rebels gender playlist together. I love you guys, and I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great life. be kind to each other, eat fruits, drink water, and we will see you again very shortly. Goodbye.